Well, one Democrat lawmaker has taken to social media to voice his opposition to a recently passed resolution that calls for an appeal to the Dave Davis plebiscite case. Senator San Nicolas says the legislature is jumping the gun when it called for emergency session of Resolution 51. Here's more. The legislature heard impassioned testimony last Friday morning from Chamorro rights activists and others in the community on a resolution that calls for GUAM to appeal the decision in the Dave Davis case. Davis sued the government of Guam for discrimination when he was denied registration into the decolonization registry for a political status plebiscite. The registration was only open to native inhabitants of Guam, but earlier this month, District Court Judge Francis Gatewood ruled in Davis's favor, noting that because the plebiscite is a government-sponsored registry, it is discriminatory in nature by defining eligible registrants as native inhabitants and their descendants.
I understand that the testimony was passionate and it did present a lot of important perspectives, including historical context, but the actual evaluation of the implications of the resolution itself never took place.
Emergency session was held Friday evening, just a few hours after the legislature heard testimony on Resolution 51. During session, San Nicolas walked out just before a vote on the resolution took place.
Senator Nelson.
Hungan.
Senator Nelson, aye. Senator Rodriguez. Senator Rodriguez, aye. Senator San Augustine. Senator San Augustine, aye. Senator San Nicolas.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to make a motion that we excuse Senator San Nicolas.
San Nicolas says he stormed out because lawmakers voted to close off discussion on the matter. The resolution eventually passed. Whether or not it's emotional, what was said during the hearing, you don't think that was enough to convey the message that the people wanted?
A lot of the testimony that we received was passionate testimony about how people were feeling and reacting to the results of the Davis case. But very little of the testimony had much to do with the actual implications of the resolution.
San Nicolas believes that an appeal with the Ninth Circuit Court is not the best option. This is because in taking on an appeal, this would be the first time that the people of Guam would be asking the higher courts, which has had a history of ruling against certain rights for several other territories, to give Guam permission to hold this plebiscite.
Never before have the native inhabitants gone to the courts and asked them to grant us permission to hold this vote. It was always non-native inhabitants that were challenging. Now that the native inhabitants are going to be pursuing the appeal, they're basically turning over the question to the courts. What I would prefer is if the native inhabitants are dissatisfied with the results of the Davis case, take that dissatisfaction to the United Nations.
San Nicolas has another option he believes might be better for the island. Hold two separate votes, one for native inhabitants, as a decolonization registry always intended, and another one, all-inclusive, at-large vote for all Guam residents, a proposal that Governor Calvo has himself proposed.
I think that what the governor is proposing, to have the vote and to have the ballots separate, might actually be the best of both worlds. And I can get behind that. Because what I might be very interested to see is if there really is a material difference in political status choice between the native-only vote and the all-inclusive vote. We may be very well surprised.
You can watch both the emergency session and public hearing on Resolution 51 at the legislature's YouTube page.